All right, here we go. Here we go. It's, what is it now? It is the 22nd of January for us, which means the 21st for the majority of people here in North America anyway. And it is 6:17 p.m. West Coast North American time and 9:17 a.m. here. Just had breakfast. My face isn't frozen. And I think I know why I felt I was reading the shits with this first part of this awesome report is I copied it. It came to me in like 13 different pages in a PDF, and I had to copy the text and paste it into my notes, and they're all pasted without paragraphs. So, and half my head was frozen and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I busted this next part too up into paragraphs. Excuse me. Now, if you're not sure who Mr. Richard Hucklebridge is, you can easily Google him, I'm sure. And, you guys, everybody knows I don't give a flying shit what anybody takes as fact or not. Myself, I don't care. As long as I get the voices heard, and every single human being has the choice to take from it what they will or leave the rest, and not blow a gasket like a mentally deranged psycho. So anyway, if anybody's curious, for me, I believe every word of this report to be absolute fact and true. I've corresponded with Mr. Hucklebridge numerous times. We had him on here. I'm friends with friends of him, and I don't need anybody. I'm definitely not the guy to ever say, "Hey, so and so, what do you think of so and so?" I don't give a shit. That only helps me try to form an opinion by using somebody else's, which I don't do. My gut knows. Your guys' gut, your gut knows for yourself. Anyway, my gut says, and my experience with corresponding with, tells me, for me, that this is indeed factual experiences being shared here. Take from what you will or leave it, you guys. But here we go. Part 2 below. Resuming from last evening for me, yesterday's video. Addition to our vacation in early July, August 12, 2016. This edition is titled, quote, "A Dream from Mary's Now Very Large Friend," end quote. He, Guardian, would like Mary and I to purchase the property next to M's residence up in the Pacific Northwest. This dream was sent while Mary was asleep between midnight and morning on August 12th. And it comes in the form of mind speak and remote viewing. Mary heard Guardian speak to her, but on this occasion he also showed himself to her, as in this big guy, who is one very big guy, and he is totally black all over, skin and hair, as in darker than a chunk of coal, where he has a round head instead of a cone-shaped head. He was telling her just how good it would be, showing her that she could plant a garden and possibly raise chickens. There's a few typos, all right? Where he said that he would bring her chickens, and Mary told him not to bring her any of M's chickens because she, M, just had her prized rooster taken while we're up there visiting with Guardian and M, and was advised by Guardian that the bad coyote had taken that one. But the only thing wrong with that scenario was that the 2 gates had to have been opened for that to have happened. Guardian advised Mary, no, not any of M's chickens. He also told Mary that she could visit Mercy every day, where he knows that we also really like this horse because it has a personality like we humans have. Plus, it was due to go to Mexico for food and was saved when M bought it for 60 cents a pound on the day it was due to be transferred. He, Guardian, would like Mary to raise chickens and large goats, where M is now raising miniature or pygmy goats. And his reason for this is that he would possibly like to have access to Mary's chickens and goats during these cold winter months, because food is very difficult to come by for his family. He, Guardian, wants to put wants her to put up a gifting post like M has, which we humans cannot see unless you're within a few feet of her gifting post, which is about 100 yards into the forested area of a 90-degree turn over for over half that distance. No way we humans could view that gifting post from outside of that forested area. Amendment, October 26, 2016. Yes, there was a lot of other things that went on during our nightly meetings with Guardian, where one night he made mention that there was a mountain lion with two little ones in the neighborhood and were headed down to where we were seated in the horse corral. He asked my lady friend if he wanted him to do something because, He asked my lady friend if we wanted him to do something to cause them to go in the other direction, like scare them off, where we declined his offer and just to let them do the normal thing. Guardian warned that they, the mountain lion, were desperately in need of food. And a few minutes later, he advised us that they had taken a turn and went up the very steep hill that was located just in front of us. A question on my part: how did he know about these three mountain lions without leaving his position with us? And that they were very hungry besides. I also told him a short story about Grandpa Carter in Tennessee, who fed his big guy Fox for 50 years, where Guardian said out loud to me, "No, no, no," to where I could hear him. And my friend was hearing him through her mind speak. Per the way that they see themselves, they are not supposed to rely on us humans for food supplies. And that is why he told me no 3 times in a row, per my friend. Guardian recently showed himself to my lady friend from about 30 feet away, attempting to warn her about the elk hunters that were on the mountain behind her residence, where he was concerned about her horses. And here's her story. Message from M. No activity in weeks, and then today I saw both dogs faced outwards towards the forest from the backyard, wagging their tails tentatively and smiling. I looked up from the muddy ground I was walking on towards the little back barn into the eyes of an extremely large, real person. This is what they refer themselves to as being called real people. Maybe 30 feet away at the most. I can measure because I know exactly where he stood and because he was right next to the shed roof at the back of that barn. He was taller than the shed roof. This was maybe 40 minutes ago. Excuse me. And no matter how you prepare yourself for this moment, the fear is automatic and the adrenaline is as fast as a snake bite. I could not have moved if I wanted to. Maybe not the closest they have come, but it is certainly the closest when it was light enough to see or not hiding. Real people. Control your fear. You know this. Wow. Let me read that again. So, the real people control your fear. You know this. Me panting. My heart was beating so hard I can't really think straight. Real person says, keep all horse people at home. Me. My heart is beating so hard in my ears I can barely think. Real people. Not safe. Big dangers everywhere. He held his hand out to me, palm up, closed it into a fist and put it to his chest. Real person said, I think he said the word here. Not sure. Oh, no, sorry. This is confusing because it says RP apostrophe. I think he said the word, quote, here, end quote. I'm not sure. I don't know what happened then, or something may have happened that I can't make myself remember. He was just gone. I don't want to sound like a cheap sci-fi, but seriously, I don't know if I blinked or what, but he was gone. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And oh, by the way, it is hunting season already, and I don't think I lost any time, but if I did, it had to have been less than a minute or two. So this is about it for now. The following took place in our kitchen in Palmdale, California in January 2017, where my wife Mary had a communication and a visual of the sleeping area that Guardian had shown her in July, while we were still up in the Pacific Northwest, which was now full of snow. He then advised her that he still wanted us to move up there and raise goats and chickens next to M. And please be advised, there is a 1,200-mile difference in distance between him and us. The following message was received March 1st, 2017 from M regarding a new message that she received from Guardian. The last part of this message is a must-read to understand some of their ancestry and how they obtain it and transfer it down the line. Hi guys, this has been a harsh winter for this time of year in our parts. At last, the snow has melted for the most part, but still freezing at night. I've reached a point in this experience with the real people that I completely accept their presence. I accept that for some reason I've been gifted with communicating with them. I accept that nothing is required of me except to obey clan rules, and that validation, negative or positive, is swift and unmistakable. I'm not even tempted to photograph or record anymore. I have nothing to prove and everything to protect. There are now 2 huge trees down over the second trail entrance that are exactly parallel, that completely block the gun-happy neighbors and their four-wheelers. When they enter my mind, I know it is because they are attempting contact, and it's as apparent now after 6 years as someone knocking on the door. And this is how they ask permission, and I've learned that this is the method to ask them for contact. The signs have become so subtle for me that I'm surprised when I see something very obvious. The games are over, and we have accepted each other, and this is how it feels to me. I was gone for a week to the East Coast in February. The first night home, I was greeted with whoops and ape-like ho, 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 ho's. Last month, something broke the neck of one of my roosters. It took its body and put it on the gifting post. It was gone when I checked a few days later. The post was approached from the back, coming down the mountain through deep snow. Interesting thing was that the individual who approached walked both directions in the exact same tracks, making it difficult to be obvious. This week, I had a chicken die from overeating scratch grains that someone had accidentally fed to them in their regular feeder. It was a large rooster. I took him to the post. He was gone in a few days, and I didn't even look for tracks. The post is so flimsy now that it wouldn't hold the weight of a raccoon, a bobcat, or it had to be plucked off the top of the post. No feathers were left. However, this morning, 3 rooster feathers greeted me on the doormat when I went out, in a fan shape. Last night, I was home to watch The Voice. The dogs insisted on standing on the couch and watching out the front window, wagging their tails and smiling with those little muffled whoops. But I had already sensed their presence. It felt like one of the take the kids and popcorn to the drive-in nights. I tried to see them, but the night was dark, and they all have to do this. What? And all they have to do is stand on the opposite side of the driveway, and I can't see them. But I can certainly feel them. I got a letter from Judith yesterday, and as I was answering it, Guardian chimed in. This is paraphrased. Our people came to this land over a narrow strip of land. They didn't know where it would lead, and they spend many months moving cautiously forward. Other animals slowly spread over generations across the strip of land. It was narrow enough that they could stand at a high point and see water on each side, but the water is far in the distant when it is shown to me. I could be wrong, but it looks remarkably like Central Alaska to me, which leads me to consider that it might be the land bridge we have all learned about. They exchanged blood with humans and other types of real people during this very lengthy migration. And again, he told me that their history is passed down from one historian to another. The exchange of information is done by pressing forehead against forehead. He adds, right this minute as I'm writing, that the knowledge takes up so much space that the historian is not good at hunting strategies, but very good at storytelling and sharing the wisdom of the ancestors. I find it interesting that we can do that with some of our electronic devices, a task that they have done for thousands of years. And as I write this, he again says that we have largely discarded many of our, how to describe this? Brain-to-brain sharing skills, like telepathy, I assume. And he tells me yes. He tells me that greed is a disease in the white race of humans and that this comes from those that brought us here and still frequently return, as they are also a species that seeks to control and manipulate the natural world for their own profit. Greed in other races of humans evolves from resentment and rage over being oppressed and used. Our paths from the real people divided here, as they embrace and protect the natural world. They again believe they are the original human-like species here on Earth, and all others are genetically modified/manipulated. He shows me again the place where his clan winters. It's a tunnel-like, glassy, black rock sides. Bracket, your rock comes from this place, Richard. End bracket. There's also a pool of fresh water with springs dripping water from the walls into the pool. The cave is warm, with some kind of ambient heat and a faint smell of sulfur. He says it is inaccessible to fragile humans and they are safe there. The sky people cannot detect them there. He shows them carefully carrying bats in their huge hands to rehome them in other caves. He also shows me them kneeling together in a circle with small stones which they move around in the circle like a game. And he's quiet now. So, oops. He tells me that indigenous peoples are descended from slaves brought to this planet who mixed blood with his ancestors. He says they learned much about the spirit world and the natural world from his people. But even so, they could not live together because of philosophical, intellectual, and spiritual differences. He says his clan feels hunger and are hunting during the day and night at this moment. He doesn't believe that the new leaves will come for weeks yet. He says to tell Richard that his people never overhunt an area. He has a long memory of that conversation, and this is why each clan claims a very large territory. He also says he likes my new spirit horse. I brought home a beautiful black Arabian mare named Bella. He shows the image of a purple wild columbine in my mind that a woman clear up North Spokane could no longer keep and called me to offer her to me before she called the auction people, the kill buyers. Everyone remarks on the gentle kindness of her eyes. She is absolutely gorgeous. I put her in with Victory, the rescued draft mare, and they were instant friends. They will both live out their lives here. He says to tell you both that fear will not help our humanity, that his voice will not help our humanity. But though his clan has lost faith in most humans, there are some that they feel deep love and connection to. Those humans have felt the call to rise against the sky people, slavers. Good movie material, I'd say. And remember, I'm trying to interpret what I hear and see. He also says he felt tears when watching the movie I watched in the middle of the night on my laptop. It was August Rush. I'm telling him I felt the same, and he shows a vision of us hugging. Okay, so this is the most he has spoken to me in a few months. He says, this is the most I have listened. Warm vibes, M. Please be advised, to the best of my abilities and comprehension, the above report is all true. Richard Hucklebridge. There you go. Shared. I hope I read that better. Richard, I know you're here listening. Appreciate that big time. And what a crazy, wild slice of experiences. Is that not? Take from what you will or leave it, but we have spoken to Richard on this channel. I've emailed back and forth numerous times, and for anybody to go out of their way, especially Richard, to make this shit up, ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You know the subtle mention about the land bridge. This is just me. This is just for me. I'm just sitting at the coffee table across from all you guys, talking the odd time. Not really giving shit about too much if anybody believes what I have to say or not. But the land bridge for me, I'm not on board yet. Not me. I'm not on board. I'll say it flat out. I'm not on board with the land bridge thing myself. But that's just me. And but one other thing for me what I've learned from the people here and many people who have allegedly been in communication with these people, so far, 100% of all the people who claim to be or have been in contact with these people, 100% of them said, you can't believe everything they say. 100% of the people who I've spoken to have been in communication with these people have all said, you can't really trust what they say. So, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why my brain's coming up with this automatic reaction of, I wonder how much emotional manipulation may possibly be coming towards this lady through the mind speak, especially if they know our taught past history. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows, right? I don't know. But when you have the similar description of these people being brought to the light through all the people here of being seen in New Zealand, Australia, yes, Hawaii, Vancouver Island, tiny islands, every single continent on the planet. Well, there wasn't a land bridge going to all those places, was there? Right? But how come all of a sudden, between all the life on North America has to apparently have originated from the land bridge up northwest of Alaska? I don't think so. Because the same beings, the same people, the same humans, the same everything, different species have been showing up everywhere, and everywhere is not connected with a ancient land bridge. Allegedly, I don't know. I'm babbling. But there you go. Sharon. Do I believe there was some honest communication going on between human beings and these people? 100% I believe this testimony. But that doesn't mean much, does it? And there you go. Sharon, I sincerely hope I read that better today. It was really bugging me that I might not have. And I got no pain in my teeth at all today. Nothing. I can't even tell I went to the dentist. Side note. Now, moving along. Did I read this? Why does that name sound familiar? All right. There's no title in this email. Steve, I live in Virginia, and we are around 3 hours from the Great Smoky Mountains. When I was around 8 years old, so this is about 1971, I'm 56 now, I went with my family to the Smoky Mountains and we went camping. Now I read this. Why didn't I mark this as red? What a dumbass. All right, sorry. Oops. All right, what do we got here? No paragraphs again. Let's see how I make out here. Mark this as red. And there's no title. No big deal. I don't give a shit if there's a title or not myself. Good afternoon, Steve. I hope this finds you in good health and spirit. You can share my name. My name is Austin Smith, and I'm 25 years old from Marion, Ohio. I've had 2 significant experiences that I'll share with you. Multiple other, but not very exciting to the listener. Hey, side note, we don't give a shit. This isn't for entertainment. We want to hear it all, man. Here we go. When I was around 11 years old, 2010, my cousin, who was somewhere around 35, was renting a house on the south side of Kaiser Lake in Champaign County. He had woods right behind his property, and me and my other cousin, who was the same age as me, walked into the forest going west. About 60 to 70 yards in, we hit a gravel road. We turned right and headed north. And about 150 yards later, we came to a point on the road that was built into a bridge between 2 hills, and down in the crack of the hills, a shallow creek. And at the time, finding Bigfoot was a big interest of mine, and I let out the most female-sounding scream cry I could. Uh-oh. It echoed very well, and I believe I did it multiple times with no response. So, we continued north on the trail another 100 yards until we came to an empty, but most certainly used cabin, which was not visible from that bridge. We messed around the cabin for no more than 15 to 20 minutes. And on the way back, as we crossed the bridge, I picked up a large branch and gave 2 knocks on a large dead tree. The knocks were at least 5 to 6 seconds apart, as the branch I was using was at least 20 pounds and 6 to 7 feet long. And as soon as my second one ended, there were two very loud knocks that came from the east in rapid succession, no more than 1 second apart. It sounded like two Bo Jacksons let loose on the tree with a Louisville Slugger back to back. Me and my cousin literally looked at each other with jaws dropped, and I'll never forget, he even put his hands on his cheeks. We ran back as fast as we could and told our older cousin that he was just mad that we were trespassing, and listened to our story, but I could tell he didn't believe us, or maybe didn't care. Second story. The woods I grew up hunting in is east of Waldo, Ohio, about 4 miles. In 2019, it was sold, and my father lost permission for us, but never shared that information with me. We hunted there for as long as I can remember, and in 2017, I hung multiple lock-on stands in the 30-acre woods, and one stand was in a spot where I hit a 170-inch plus whitetail in no man's land with my bear apprentice, maxed out at 40 pounds, and I was 13. Wow. The woods was L-shaped, and I was sitting in the corner of the L. And right around sunset, I started to get a very uneasy feeling. Never felt it before. Just the oddest feeling of anxiety. I opted to cut my hunt short, knowing damn well there was world-class deer in that woods. And it was the best time to be in the stand. And it was plenty light still with clear sky, so I didn't use my headlight. And this is important. It was 100 yards straight east through the woods until I got to the edge of the cut bean field. I forgot to mention this is late November. I got about halfway, and a voice that was not my own very clearly said, "Run." I stopped my tracks, and the woods were dead silent. I was freaking out of my head, but I slowly and calmly looked 360 degrees around me 3 or 4 times without moving my feet as to not make any noise. After 15 seconds or so, I continued to walk out, constantly looking behind me. My truck was about 300 yards away at my uncle's house, who lived next to these woods and had some farmland of his own. The point here is, I could not see the area I was sitting from my truck. And as I drove back by and got to the point of the road where I could see the corner of the L where my stand was, there sat a farm truck with its parking lights on and its headlights pointing right into the woods where my stand was. Oh no. That's weird, I thought to myself. And upon stopping to take a closer look, I could see 2 flashlights in the woods right under where my stand was in the woods. So I call my father, and he informs me that the place was sold and we lost permission. I hadn't hunted there at all that year. I hadn't hunted there at all that year because the 30-minute drive, and we picked up a great private piece through our work from a customer that was 15 minutes away. Anyhow, the new owner was a local that my father knew before he bought the place. He calls him to explain the misunderstanding and ask if we can retrieve our stands. And he was a gentleman, and he understood, had no issue. So I go to retrieve the stand 3 days after the incident, and I find a note on the stand from the owner. It read, "I seen your lights from my house. Get your stand or don't come back." I was perplexed. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, I know I didn't use my headlight when I got down. I was 20 at the time and hadn't heard yet about lights people report seeing with Sasquatch sightings, so either there was lights I couldn't see around me when I started getting that funny feeling, or when I made the 300-yard walk back to my truck, there were lights. And this guy seen them and drove back there a half mile through his field in that time I was walking out. And number 1, I know I didn't use my headlight while getting down and leaving. Number 2, I always use the red light while leaving a good spot. And from a half a mile away, with the stand 20 yards in the woods, it would have been nearly impossible to catch it unless intently staring into the woods from his house. And even then, I'm not certain I would have been visible, as the steps were on the opposite side of the tree from his house. The tree was a mature red oak, 2.5 feet thick in diameter. Was the voice telling me to run from the guy coming? And if that were the case, the lights would have been witnessed while I was in the woods. and I see nothing. It freaks me out to think about it to this day, but I'll never not be a hunter. And like you say, if it wants you, it'll have you, and you won't know it's coming. I've become a family man. I've become a family man and a small business owner in these last 5 years, and also have done multiple MMA fights and boxing matches. I'm not a scared person. But this, among other things I've experienced, really make me uneasy when I'm so familiar with Dave P. and his work. I don't know what to make of it, or maybe even scarier to me, but I know exactly what to make of it. But I'll cut myself off here and leave you with my prayers to you and your family. Also, sorry for the passing of your horse, and best wishes, Austin. Austin, hope you're still hanging here, man. I appreciate that share. Interesting, right? Catching that, the mention of the light and knowing it wasn't you. You know what it was. You know what it was. You know what it was. If you got any updates, let me know. Let me know how you're doing. I'm super stoked to hear you still go hunting, too. That's good. We're all given one life, you guys. You got one life. That's it. Allegedly. But it's a good one to go with right now, right? We treat this existence like it's only once. Microwave. This is titled. This next one. Microwave weaponry torture. Hi, Steve. My name is Peter Morgan. I live in Mount Me, Queensland, Australia, and yes, you can use my name. I'm writing this email just to let the world know we are being tortured at the hands of Australian government agents here in Mount Me. The neighbors, Melody Vickery, Jake Vickery, and Wade Vickery of Houseman Road, Mount Me, have set up equipment to torture us with microwave weaponry, and they've been doing this for a year. I've contacted every domestic government agency and international agencies asking for help, and none of them have responded. We've been hit with literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of microwave pulses in the past year, all day, all night, 24 hours a day. My partner almost died, and so have I. They torture our chickens and our rooster crows every 15 seconds nearly all day. We're at the end of our rope with these parasitic... Oh, boy. All right, here we go. Here we go. Mark, this is red. This is titled The Game of Light and Shadows. Dear Mr. Isdall, first and foremost, thank you for using your platform as a way to voice resistance, revolution, and freedom. The topic of the Sabe people is important without a doubt. For me, through resistance, revolution, and freedom holds more importance. Now, just a little bit about me. I'm 41 years old, upstate New York native, Navy veteran, 01-05 USS Theodore Roosevelt. Never was religious or spiritual, and I always thought about those topics kind of taboo. And about 45 years ago, strange things began to happen to me. Sleep paralysis was the first indication that something was happening to me. Something unexplainable in my mind. The next strange, a supernatural stuff that began to happen was a first kind of nerve-wracking, and at times I'd become very nervous or anxious. The sleep paralysis happened to me about 5 to 8 times in one summer. These other situations were, how do I explain this? I could sense other entities went outside my bedroom window, as well as inside my room sometimes. Are they good or evil? Were these beings spirit guides? So many questions. All of this happening to me, someone who up till now didn't really place anything substantial or take a side in this supernatural stuff. I'm still trying to figure out what this higher energy / universe is trying to show me, basically accepting that fact that there is a higher force at work beyond my understanding. We all have a destiny or a role we are here to play. And Mr. Isdall, I can't say that I've had more than one Sabe experience. Only one comes to mind, and it was basically midnight when it occurred. Late on a cold winter night on Shumway Hill Road, Mount Upton, New York. Myself and a friend basically decided to stand in the road, very rural, and I began addressing the dark forest on each side of us. I announced who I was, who my friend was, and pretty much said, quote, "You who resides in the forest, you don't like us humans, and I get it. I'm standing here tonight to tell you something. If you beings who live in the woods don't think our governments will come for you all, next, think again. I'm here tonight to offer my hand, my word, my life, in hopes that we could all possibly have an alliance. I'll do everything and anything to protect you and your family and your interests if it's needed. I'm only asking that you do the same for me. If you beings think you can hide in the woods and not be involved, you're making a grave mistake and misjudgment. If you hate humans, I don't really care. Get over it and let's take these evil shitbags out." So after I made this statement/speech, a rock got tossed down this embankment on the other side of the road. Several minutes, 1 to 3, went by. Then another rock was thrown. My friend then got kind of nervous. And I wasn't scared or nervous. My state of mind was determined, authentic, serious. That's my only Sabe situation from what I sensed with the Sabe. I should mention that ever since that night, whenever I walk somewhere and it's laid out, I feel eyes watching me as well as being paralleled. Maybe I'm tagged. I personally don't know. I'd rather these beings step out and speak with someone, one of us, hiding around scaring people. What a bunch of bullshit. I want to jump back to other entities that I started to sense and see visually, not using a phone camera. I have several pictures and a couple of videos I'd like to send you. And one thing is true, and it's that all this shit is related. The more you let your eyes open up, a consciousness opens up. All lies revealed. A behind the veil saying. Well, we are starting to be able to see the real reality of this world. It's like we all had a spell cast on us in our perception. Yeah, that's true enough, isn't it? I know this channel was not originally for UFO shit, but as Dave and yourself have said before, that from above is where the threat is. I know I have to say this. The word believe means you doubt or don't know. To know is the real way to say, I believe this is to be true. The statement doesn't mean you know anything or any knowledge of what you believe in. We must know. Sorry. Yeah, so UFO shit. Sleep paralysis is definitely something to do with abduction or something where they come to check on you like we would a science experiment. I know in my gut, my soul, that a lot of this weird shit has to do with our blood. Well, certain people's blood, I should say. If anyone should look up stuff about John D. He was Queen Elizabeth, CW. Huh? What was that random last sentence? Let me read this one more time. I know in my gut, my soul, that a lot of this weird shit has to do with our blood. Well, certain people's blood, I should say. If anyone should look up stuff about John D. That's capital D, E-E. He was Queen Elizabeth. Okay, that's random. I'm sure some sleuths are going to start typing that name in and seeing what's up with that last statement. That was an odd one. And there you go. There you go. Shared. Take from what you will or leave it. Right? Oh my God, I got a lot more here. One of the bunch of photos. We'll save that for tomorrow. And there you go. Done deal. My share is done. Now, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm going to go back down. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to sit down and do some work-related items online. It's going to be a laundry day today. Dentist done yesterday. Got to go rejoin the gym again and go in there and get beat up for another week, I think. What else is new? Oh, this is kind of yeah, and I'll crack open my Trump commentary another time. There's a lot to say there, nothing bad. But maybe I'll take one quick mention. One quick mention, you guys. I know I'm done doing the emails, but one quick mention on this border thing and immigrants, border invasion, whatever you want to call it. I grew up looking across to the United States. I grew up on the edge of the water, looking across to Washington State, looking across to the Olympic Peninsula. when the sun hit just right coming up in the morning on a clear day. I could see all those yummy mountains and meadows across in the Olympics and logged off areas. And I remember thinking, oh man, I just want to go over there with my boat. I'm going to go hunting over there. I'll bet you there's huge bucks there, you know? And we used to have a halibut spot. We called it the border bank, a reef that was basically split in two by the Canadian and American border. And I was always, I didn't have to go all the way out there, but I thought if I ever did, I'd be worried about crossing the border illegally. I'd be worried about getting in trouble. And as a result of getting in trouble, never being able to travel across the border legally again, or getting like a 5-year spanking or something like that, which they do to people when they get in trouble, right? And I respected that. I've had no problem respecting the border at all. Right? I mean, one of the last, I know it's a tough, it can be, you can look at this topic from different angles. They use children a lot. People have used children to pull at heartstrings of people all over the planet. TV commercials, news stories to get your attention, to try to sway you against people. But the fact of the matter is, we had those 2 young reporters. They traveled that route through South America, Middle America, Mexico, to intentionally get to the U.S. border and run across. They didn't give a shit who it was that they were encouraging to do that trek. But soon, the criminals learned that it was faster to get across the border with a kid. And they kidnapped children and stole children and dumped them at the border, drugged them, as proof. That trail was littered with bodies. And meanwhile, was it the Red Cross, NATO, UNICEF, had signs showing the best ways to trek through the frickin' jungle. Just the fact, they showed it. These 2 young guys went on the trek. They showed us video proof of all of this. They encouraged people to do that, and many people died. Many families were ripped apart, and children were gone, and now they're really gone and disappeared. All from these so-called organizations, and that, at that time, U.S. government encouraging these people to do that. How horrible is that, right? Well, but meanwhile, we'll get a fine for not wearing a seatbelt here in North America because it's not safe. So harsh, so brutal, so disgusting. It's so disgusting. Do I believe in open borders? Shit, no. What? Hell no. Not today. Not since the world governments have created all the hate and all the wars. You can't do that anymore. Too many people want revenge. Too many people are looking to make money with dark methods. But anyway, I guess it's just my 2 cents. I just don't agree with encouraging people who have nothing, and possibly many, many criminals jumping in with those people and abusing them and using them along the route to do what they did. It annihilated so many people's lives. It made their lives, which weren't too good to begin with, even worse, or ended their lives. Definitely separated them from their children. But just a simple thought the simple thought of me attempting to cross the border into Washington State undetected, I'd never do that ever. I just wouldn't. Are you kidding? I thought, for my mind and where I grew up, you'd have to be crazy to do that. You get in shit. You get arrested. And then if you did that and they caught you, they'd block you from legally going to the United States for another 5 or 10 or 15 years or even life. Who knows? You just don't do that shit. You use your ID, your passport, you go to the border, you tell them what you're doing, and off you go. And they welcome you with well wishes to have a good time. Yeah. But yeah, it has to be controlled today. It has to be. It's unfortunate, but it's got to be controlled, man. There's too many dark sons of bitches out there doing evil, dark sons of bitchin' things. We got to keep each other safe and help those who deserve help. And we do. Everybody does. Anyway, I guess I'm babbling. Whatever, I'm babbling. It's just amazing to me that people can think that what has happened in the south border of the U.S. is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. You got to pray for those lost souls who got separated from their families and disappeared. Hundreds of thousands of children. Oh, disappeared. Maybe, hopefully now, the people that care are in position to do something about it and find them and find those responsible for making that shit go down, right? Anyway, I'll stop babbling. I could babble a lot about what's coming, what's going down. And here I am, still in Canada, Stan, where the dirty, dark sons of bitches are still in control. And it's about to get worse for Canada. It's about to get worse. The WEF puppets, World Bank members are now fighting to get in the position of Prime Minister. Holy shit, it's just another puppet, right? They just shuffle the puppets. Shuffle the puppets, but Canada Stand is still back in the dark ages. Envy my brothers and sisters to the south. At least you guys have change, right? You guys got change. We don't. Still stuck. But hey, I still choose to be happy, and I still choose to do this, and I still choose to do everything I love to do, and I still choose to help people when I can. But anyway, I'm babbling away, aren't I? I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope all is safe. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Later.